Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So over the last couple of weeks, we have been hearing quite a bit of news around the SEC. They have been making some pretty big moves. And just recently, they made a move that could be looked at as negative, if you will. They actually just postponed decisions on multiple crypto ETFs. Now we have here that the US SEC has deferred its decision on the approval of several cryptocurrency exchange traded funds, including those proposed by VanEck for Solana and various ETFs for XRP, Litecoin, and Dogecoin by Canary Capital and Grayscale. This postponement affects multiple crypto spot ETFs, with decisions expected to be pushed back to at least April 4th of this year, reflecting ongoing regulatory scrutiny and market anticipation. Now, am I surprised by this? Not exactly. Listen, I think that right now, one of the biggest things that we are really kind of looking at when it comes to the SEC is the moves on the regulatory side. I think that there's still a lot of ongoing discussions, and I think that those discussions will lead to decisions regarding, some clarity on the space. But right now, a lot of these ETFs, listen, we've been hearing about these altcoin ETFs for probably about, I want to say like almost 12 months now. It's almost up to a year since we've been hearing about altcoin ETFs ever since, Bitcoin, and then we got the ethereum ETF. These ETFs are kind of becoming, in my opinion, a sell the news event. Now, do I think that they are just a sell the news event and there's not a lot of hype behind them? Absolutely not. I think that ETFs are a big signal around the shift that's happening within this space. When you have traditional financial players wanting these ETFs pushed and approved and trading every single day, it shows you that these big players are also behind the hype. This is the first, step, in my opinion, to the integration and adoption cycle of crypto. Because right now, these big players, this is basically the only taste of crypto that they can get while this space is unregulated. So as we do really kind of look at the ETFs, I think that it's just one big stepping stone in the right direction towards the adoption and utilization of the underlying tech. But the ETFs are a big green light in the sense of crypto will be supported by TradFi. Crypto is going to converge with TradFi. And that's how I look at these ETFs. I don't really look at them as like a massive price driver or a volume driver, even though they are. I look at it more so as the legitimization of the space from TradFi. But outside of this, we did get a pretty big update. So the other day, I shared with you guys all of the ETF, ETF filings around XRP, and it's actually up to like 20 or so now. And we actually just got a big update from Franklin Templeton, because we actually have over here that Franklin Templeton files a prospectus for an XRP ETF. And of course, Brad Garlinghouse posted the eyes emoji over on X, and we have over almost 800 views on this, 15,000 plus likes. And we have here, this is the announcement, almost 1 million views. These ETF filings are massive. There's so many filings around XRP now. All of the TradFi guys want an XRP ETF. They want to be the first one through the door as well with this. So I feel like this is probably going to be a big, big flood. We're going to see so many ETF around XRP specifically. I'm just going to say that now, because I don't want you guys to get ahead of me and say, oh, well, they're all going for these altcoins. No. When we think about these altcoins, don't get me wrong, I think that the HBAR ETF is huge as well. I think that the demand for an XRP ETF at this current moment in time is at all-time highs. I actually think that it's even more demand than the Ethereum ETF. And the reason why I say that is because of the spotlight put on XRP. A lot of people still, outside of crypto, think that XRP is Ripple and Ripple is XRP. But again, if you're in crypto, you know the difference. But Ripple does utilize the XRP ledger and XRP. They support XRP in a big way. So when we think about what TradFi is seeing when it comes to Ripple being at the White House, meeting with Trump, talking to Trump, having these discussions with Trump, they're probably thinking like, all right, well, XRP is in the spotlight. It's on center stage. We have to be first with this, because there's a lot of money to be made here. And also XRP being the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap definitely doesn't hurt its standing. And we know how massive XRP has been so far this cycle. So I feel like every single TradFi player wants a little bit of taste of XRP at this current moment in time, which is why we're starting to see these ETFs really kind of flood in, and the numbers going all the way up to almost like 20 filings for XRP, which is just wild to me. But also remember what Franklin Templeton's CEO did tell us about Bitcoin. Let's go all the way back to January 19th of 2024. Big shout out to Megan for this. I'm going to also play this clip as well that I posted. I reposted this on December 21st, actually, regarding Franklin Templeton's CEO. And check this out.
You know, it's funny. I'm known for saying that Bitcoin's the greatest distraction from one of the greatest disruptions in financial services, which is blockchain. So a lot of people took that as I'm not a believer in Bitcoin. And yet, you know, launching this ETF, you can see, obviously, the demand that's out there for Bitcoin. And I think there's a lot of reasons why that is. I think that, one, from a blockchain standpoint, the ability to pay, Bitcoin's going to be a key component of that. And the technology is going to open up a lot of really interesting types of investment opportunities. We actually launched a tokenized money market fund. We're the first mutual fund first traditional asset manager to actually launch a 40 Act fund on a public blockchain, on the Stellar blockchain. So Bitcoin is just one of the suite of what we think are opportunities here. You know, one of the things that made me a believer is as I went around the world talking to people who would tell you, I had somebody who said, I keep 50% of my savings in Bitcoin because if I say the wrong thing in my country, I could have my assets confiscated. I remember talking to somebody in Israel who said, my parents and their parents had all of their assets confiscated. They keep a portion of it in Bitcoin. So there's a fear component to it that is considered almost a insurance or safety component. But I also think it's really important to fueling what is a next real opportunity in this blockchain world.
Right. So, I mean, the scenarios that you just outlined, that's the case for holding Bitcoin, the actual, you know, you have the keys to the security as opposed to investing in an ETF. Right, so there's a use case for both.
For sure, but that still keeps a floor on the price, right? So it keeps on the floor on the price. And then if you've actually tried to acquire and deal with the keys, it's really complicated. Yeah. Right? I mean, I did it at one point, and then I was trying to actually figure out how to get back in, and it's hard. And so being able to open it up and have access to that through an ETF and just simply through your brokerage account is
Now, she is, of course, correct here. You know, whenever it comes to like traditional retail investors actually like investing into Bitcoin and, you know, storing it and things like that. Like it's definitely a big problem. But again, you know, as we really think about Bitcoin, it is one big distraction. She even said that over here in this clip as well. She said Bitcoin is the greatest distraction from the greatest disruption that is coming to financial services. You can check it out real quick.
Bitcoin is the greatest distraction from the greatest disruption that is coming to financial services. I think AI is probably the other big disruption there, but
now, of course, she does go on to mention quite a bit, but if you have been in the space, you already know what she's talking about, because when we think about what's happening around DLT and crypto, it's the number one reason why TradFi is loving XRP right now. They understand the tech. They also understand the benefits behind the tech. A lot of players in the TradFi space understand this. They also know that Bitcoin can't do what these other DLTs can do. The technology around Bitcoin in terms of the actual efficiencies is completely night and day from, say, for so like something like Hedera that runs on Hashgraph. It's not even an actual blockchain. The efficiencies there are just so significant. That's why we keep looking at some of these other projects like XRP. We look at XDC, XLM, even HBAR, etc., because of what's behind them, the tech behind them. I mean, we all knew in the past when something was, you know, so disruptive, you know, we thought that it was never going to end, and then all of a sudden, a big player comes out of nowhere and replaces it. We saw this with MySpace, with Facebook. We saw this with Yahoo. I mean, it happens every single time there's this big, massive technology, you know, revolution. And I think that Bitcoin is kind of like that as well. I think that Bitcoin is, you know, similar to MySpace or AOL or, you know, whatever the case may be. There's always going to be a next big thing or a much more efficient thing. And in this case, don't get me wrong, like Bitcoin does have a place in this market. I just think that these other projects are far more valuable and will be much bigger than Bitcoin will ever be when we start to see tokenization flooding on chain and we actually start to see the utility behind these projects, actually evolve and be utilized by these big TradFi players. Now, also on top of all of this, we have to go back to the ETFs. So the ETFs, I do think that the ETFs will be approved. I think that they're going to be delayed, though, until April 16th. Big shout out to Fred Rispoli for this. So he put out a post regarding the Ripple case. So he said, although there is no formal reason requiring it, it is reasonable to speculate that the SEC versus Ripple case is resolved, or at least something significant happens before Ripple's filing deadline of April 16th of this year. Let's keep an eye on it and hope. And listen, we have witnessed case after case after case being dismissed by the SEC. This is the big one that we are watching because we are starting to get closer and closer to that deadline. I think that everyone needs to be looking into this, especially if you hold XRP, because if this case gets dismissed, I do think that all of these ETFs get completely greenlit. And guess what that means for XRP? We have one massive catalyst behind it. Even remember what Bitwise's CIO outlined regarding the massive demand for an XRP ETF in the US, and that new money flowing into XRP related institutional investment protocols could be a catalyst for the price. Check this out.
Earlier this week that the SEC formally acknowledged Bitwise's application for a spot XRP ETF. Now, I know you can't talk about the specific application, but I'm wondering if you can talk about what you've heard in terms of demand for an XRP ETF in particular. Obviously, there was less demand for an ETH ETF than a Bitcoin one, but there is increasing adoption. So what's the scope look like for an XRP fund?
Yeah, I would say two things on that front, without talking about the Bitwise filing specifically, as you mentioned. One, I think there's substantial demand for an XRP ETF. XRP has had a sustained community for an extremely long period of time. It's an asset that trades significantly on centralized exchanges. I think people would love to find a way to hold it in a simple, low cost, easy to use ETP structure. And I will say the second piece is the SEC is much more receptive to discussions under the new administration than they were in the past. In the previous administration, the door would simply be shut. There was no way to discuss things like staking or in-kind or maybe new assets. I think, and I can tell you that has completely changed. They're much more open to dialogue. So I'm optimistic we're going to see, XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs. I think the killer app in this space will actually be an index-based ETF. I think a lot of people want to just make a generalized bet on crypto, and I'm hopeful we get that at the end of this year as well. So count me as optimistic.
So yeah, I mean, he's extremely optimistic on XRP because even more recently, he did an interview with Paul Barron, and he's actually expecting the market to react positively with the settlement of the Ripple versus SEC case. He said XRP has been suppressed by litigation for multiple years, and we don't yet know what it could do on the global stage when it's free from those restraints. Again, this case is going to be a massive catalyst because if this case gets completely dismissed, even though XRP is really not in question here, it still matters in a big way. But once this case is gone, I do think that all of these ETF filings around XRP get completely greenlit. And again, this is one massive catalyst. It really is a big catalyst for XRP's price. But check it out.
On April 16th. Well, how would XRP respond? How would the market respond here on April 16th?
On April 16th.
That's potentially when the lawsuit would be final.
I think the market would love it, right? I do think, from my 30,000 foot view, specific to XRP, I think there is a significant chunk of the crypto market that has sort of written it off or forgotten about it. And I think that part of the market is wrong. I think the reality is XRP has been, suppressed by litigation for multiple years, and we don't yet know what it can do on the global stage when it's sort of freed from those restraints. And I think if we get full clarity and we can now see true business development opportunity in the US and abroad without that sort of Damocles hanging over it, then I think we'll see what XRP can do in the market. I don't think there's any guarantee it will be enormously successful, but there's equally no guarantee that it won't be.
So again, this is Bitwise's CIO, and he's telling us what's happening behind the scenes and the unknowns as well that we just don't understand. Because you got to remember, this is going to be the first time, if this case gets dismissed, this is going to be the first time in over almost 5 years that XRP is officially free. There's nothing holding it back. There's nothing keeping it from doing what it's supposed to do, which is completely shock the market, go absolutely parabolic, because we also have a massive combination of things that could affect the price of XRP. You got to remember, it just got confirmed to be approved and actually included into the US crypto stockpile, which is huge. We have over 20 filings for XRP ETFs. Institutional adoption is heating up. We have institutional DeFi becoming a massive reality for XRP. The actual network, the XRP ledger itself, is expanding and being utilized in a huge way right now. I mean, everything around XRP is so bullish, and I actually have a very hard time flipping bearish on XRP, even though the price action around the space hasn't been the most enjoyable price action that we've seen. But I'm still very bullish on XRP because of how strong it has been, what's been happening behind the scenes for XRP and the environment around XRP right now. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, set notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.